implemented in January 2020. The majority of the requirements have been implemented, but there is still a little bit of inconsistency around how often weekly income reports are being run and bank reconciliations are being performed within the various establishments. Action plans are in place for both reviews and will be monitored for completion by internal audit in accordance with our normal due process, with regular updates provided to Audit Committee on action plan implementation. Good progress continues to be made in completing the audit plan for 2021. There are 5 audits in progress, 3 of which relate to quarterly review exercises, which we hope to finalise by July. There's just been difficulties being able to review hard copy records, but from the work that we've undertaken to date, there have been no significant issues arising for any of these reviews. There are 3 audits which are being deferred to future audit plans, and they've already been reported to the February Audit Committee as part of the annual audit plan update for 21-22. Convener, the action plan status report for internal audit is attached to Appendix 2. There were no actions due for completion at the end of February. However, 2 actions with a due date arising after 28th of February have been reprioritised. These relate to actions from the procurement of contract spend audit, and this is to allow for further discussion and consultation with the new corporate procurement manager who joins the council in May. There was also one action with a completion date of the 30th of June, which has now been implemented. This relates to the implementation of a new system for monitoring stock at ISO, and that's now been completed, and there are further actions still being progressed by officers. In relation to external audit action plans, the status report is attached to Appendix 3. Again, there were no actions due for completion at the end of February, and there's currently 2 actions being progressed by officers. Appendix 4 is the external audit annual audit plan for 2021, and I'll ask Audit Scotland to talk to the report, but there is a recommendation, Convener, at 3.2 of the covering report to request the Provost to hold a special meeting of the Council on the 28th of October, and that's so that the Council can approve the 2021 accounts. Happy to take any questions or comments on the internal audit update, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. MD, any questions? Everybody quite happy? Okay. Well, can we agree that? And we'll get the...
Chair, I was a wee bit slow.
Sorry, I can't.
Chair,
go ahead, Stephen.
I was a wee bit slow in putting my question in the chat. It was just in relation to the audit of the sort of parent pay system, and obviously the issues around the sort of reconciliations not being carried out. Just to ask, are we confident that the capacity exists within the schools to do that? And it's just an issue. It's not been done. It's been overlooked. It's not been seen as a priority. But are we confident that's going to be done, and there is the capacity within the schools to undertake these tasks?
Ruth, do you want to answer that one?
I can come in on that. Yes, my understanding is it's not that they weren't being done, it was the frequency of which they were being done. And I think sometimes when much is going through the school fund, then perhaps the frequency hasn't been adhered to. The officers have asked about this and said, is there a capacity? Have we asked something that is too difficult? No, it's just basically getting into routine. And we've got to remember that parent pay as well is a very, very good system for the purposes of audit, because we've got a trail of all the money. So I'm being assured that yes, there's capacity there. It's just the regularity of it happening that needs to be improved.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else get in? I'd like to ask. Okay, can we head from external audit? I can't see the from external audits. Is that right?
Yes, David Jameson here, Chair. Thank you.
Can I dart on there, David? Short.
Oh, right. I'll try and adjust my background. Thank you, Chair. This is our annual audit plan for Inverclyde Council for 2020-21. It follows the format of previous years, but if we could just run through some of the key points. I would first of all draw the committee's attention to paragraph 1 on page 4, which explains that the plan sets out the work necessary to allow us to provide an independent auditor's report on the annual accounts and meet the wider scope requirements of public sector audit, including the audit of best value. Our audit is very much focused on the identification and assessment of risks of material misstatement in the accounts, and on pages 5 to 7 we set out the main risk areas for the council and add both the management assurances provided and our planned audit work around these risk areas. Now, for 2021, we've identified only 4 significant audit risks for Inverclyde Council, these being management override of controls, error in areas of estimation and judgment, risks relating to COVID-19. These cover a number of areas, including group and performance issues, and finally, financial sustainability. The audit outputs arising from our work are shown on page 7, along with target delivery dates. And as Andy had just mentioned, you'll see we have a target date of 28th of October for both the independent auditor's report and our annual audit report. Audit Scotland, I should add, Audit Scotland views 2021 as a transitional year, leading in future to audit timetables which were possible prior to COVID-19. We will, of course, be as flexible as we can to enable change in short notice if required, should any new issues emerge or current risks change in significance. The audit scope and timing is set out from paragraph 19 of the plan, and of course includes us assessing the risks of material misstatement. Following on from that, paragraph 25 or paragraph 24, we set out the calculated materiality values, and at paragraph 25 we outline the proposed financial statements timetable. In terms of our work under the wider scope requirements, the work plan for the council this year will focus on following up on the council's progress on recommendations identified in the best value assurance report published way back in June 2017. Seems such a long time ago now. That was just a quick run through the proposed plan, Chair, but more than happy to respond to any questions you may have.
Thanks, David. Any questions? Stephen, no.
Yeah, it was me again, Chairman. Yeah, I was just going to ask around the timescales. Obviously, last year the sort of legislation allowed us to sort of slip the timescales. I'm presuming that's the case this year. So what is the sort of absolute deadline? And I suppose learning from last year, would you foresee the sort of challenges in carrying out your audit work this year, given we're obviously still in a sort of COVID environment?
The absolute deadline is the end of November. We have tried for Inverclyde, based on last year when Alan and the team were able to produce the accounts within the timescale promised by the end of June. We managed to pull our timetable forward from December, as it was last year, to end of October-ish. Now, we hope, or we will be able to do that again this year, just based on the timetable we've agreed with Alan in terms of production of the financial statements and the work we propose to do. So we have gone for the end of October, and I don't see any issues in achieving that timetable, assuming everything stays the same.
Okay, thanks for that.
Excuse me, Councillor Rebecca, can I just say Andy's having connection issues just now, so she's going to try and come back in.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there any, well, I'll ask anybody else, any other questions just now? No.
I wonder, convener, if I could comment. It's Alan Puxin here. Just on what David said there in the question that was from Councillor McCabe, and it regarding the timetable. I think the main challenge this year will not be in getting the accounts to members by the end of October. It's going to be ensuring that the accounts, the draft accounts or the unaudited accounts, are ready by the end of June. I think there's the two factors in there is one, that the council has lost a key person who left, the person who effectively did a lot of the legwork and the complex stuff around the year-end accounts. She left the council at the beginning of April, and we're in the process of getting a replacement. So that's put more work on the remaining few people who are involved in the accounts. But also, as is flagged up by David in his introduction, the complexity around the COVID funding. The sheer volume of grants that we've got and how they're to be treated in the year-end accounts, and separating them from normal spend is something which I think all councils in Scotland are going to struggle to deal with. And I know there's guidance coming from LASAC, who advises on technical matters. You know, in the likes of business grants, do they go through our accounts, or are we acting as agents for the Scottish Government in paying these? And we'll need to get clarity on all these matters before we close our own accounts. So there will be some big figures in this year's accounts. I suppose I'm just asking members to bear in mind when they do see the unaudited accounts in June. But I think the real challenge is going to be getting the accounts actually ready for the audit committee on the 24th of June.
Excuse me, Alan, do you think everyone will be okay for October then?
I think once the accounts are the unaudited versions are available, then you know that it's easy for me to say it because that's more in David's court, because it's his team who are then auditing the accounts. We've done the bulk of our hard work, provided the working papers are ready, but I do sense this year it'll be more challenging than last year. We did very, very well last year with everyone working at home. We still have the vast majority of people working from home in accountancy, but there's more challenges this year just through the sheer volume of COVID grants that we're dealing with.
No, what I really meant was, do you think your team will be all ready to give him his stuff, so we're ready? Keep your fingers crossed. But thanks for that. And I see Andy's back. Thanks, David. Tommy, you want to come in?
Yeah, Chad, Alan's kind of answered my question there. I was just wondering how much of an impact that's going to have on his team running up to the deadlines, but he's more or less answered that. It's going to be maybe an issue, or
Okay.
you know, put a lot of pressure on them to hit the deadlines.
Okay, and else to ask of David or Andy or the man with all the money? No? Quite happy to go forward for the recommendations, and that'll be a special meeting on the 28th of October. Accounts. Agreed?
Great.
Thank you very much. Okay. Now we go into the private session, so I hope there's nobody about.
For you, convener, the appropriate motion is made to go into private session. Lindsay, can I just ask you to confirm that we don't have any members of the public or the press particularly present?
No, we don't, Gwen. Okay.
Okay.